Steve Scully, the former Joe Biden intern who was set to moderate the second presidential debate, is now out of a job. Facebook and Twitter are actively influencing the presidential election through censorship. Plus, President Trump and Joe Biden took part in dramatically different town hall events. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Friday. I hope you had a great week. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to start with Steve Scully and the Commission on Presidential Debates. And you'll notice in this show, there's kind of an overall theme because we're going to get to Facebook and Twitter in a little bit. But the overall theme is the corruption and stench of the media, of the left, of the establishment. Now, let's start with this commission and the debates in general. As I reported, the commission itself is filled with never-Trumpers. They are all against President Trump. So that leads to the first debate, which we saw what happened there with Chris Wallace. It was a 2-on-1 debate. He was debating President Trump. He wasn't asking Joe Biden tough questions at all. Then we moved to last Wednesday with the vice presidential debate. It was a lot calmer, but it didn't mean it was any better. The debate moderator didn't press Kamala Harris, didn't ask her once about the big question that was dominating, which is she and Joe Biden going to pack the Supreme Court? Vice President Mike Pence had to ask that. So he wiped the floor with her that night, and immediately by the time we woke up, there was a change in the second presidential debate. There was a change. It was going to be moved to virtual. Then that day as well, on Thursday, the moderator of that second presidential debate, someone who's supposed to be impartial, who's also a Joe Biden intern, he got on Twitter and he tweeted this. Scaramucci, should I respond to Trump? Now he's referring to Anthony Scaramucci, who was a famous never-Trumper, was a Trump ally for a little bit, turned arch enemy, basically. What is the impartial debate moderator doing talking to a never-Trumper? So there was a big uproar. Scully says his account was hacked. His Twitter account was hacked. And the commission, they stood by Scully. They said, yep, that's what happened. We're going to investigate it with the FBI. Well, guess what? Turns out the whole thing was bogus. There was no hacking at all. And Scully and the commission just looked like fools. And here's the story. C-SPAN announced Thursday it had suspended political editor Steve Scully indefinitely after he admitted he lied that his Twitter account was hacked after a message to former Trump aide turned adversary Anthony Scaramucci emerged. Scully, the Washington Journal host who was slated to moderate the now canceled town hall debate between President Trump and Joe Biden, went viral last week after a tweet sent from his account indicated he had reached out to the former White House communications director. So, no hacking at all. Scully lied. The commission, what did they know? They backed him up. It was all a lie. So then Scully puts out his statement. He puts out a statement explaining these actions, and here it is. For several weeks, I was subjected to relentless criticism on social media and in conservative news outlets regarding my role as moderator for the second presidential debate, including attacks aimed directly at my family, Scully wrote. This culminated on Thursday, October 8th, when I heard President Trump go on national television twice and falsely attack me by name. Out of frustration, I sent a brief tweet addressed to Anthony Scaramucci. The next morning, when I saw that this tweet had created a controversy, I falsely claimed that my Twitter account had been hacked. These were both errors in judgment for which I am totally responsible. I apologize. Wow, give me a break. Tweets this out and then doesn't think it's going to cause a controversy when he tweets to a never-Trumper. So President Trump was all over this, and here's what he tweeted yesterday. I was right again. Steve Scully just admitted he was lying about his Twitter being hacked. The debate was rigged. He was suspended from C-SPAN indefinitely. The Trump campaign was not treated fairly by the commission. Did I show good instincts in being the first to know? So, folks, we need to do something about this debate. I will volunteer to be a debate moderator. Put me up with some other Democrat commentator, strategist, whatever. We'll come up with questions. We'll grill both of them. Each of us can ask the candidates and come up with something that's better than this, because this is absolutely unworkable. It's unfair, and it is obviously biased. And the timing all of this is very strange. Joe Concha, the media reporter over at The Hill, he tweeted this. One thought on the Scully suspension after lying about getting hacked. The Presidential Debate Commission was very quick to cancel a second debate that would have been watched by 70 to 75 million. No effort was made to find an alternative date. Question is if Scully impacted the decision. And that's a great question, because if the debate commission knew what was going on, if this hacking story were bogus, that's why they canceled the debate, because they'd just be left bare, revealed that everything is biased and unfair about this, that it truly is rigged, as President Trump said. Something's got to change, but we can no longer be beholden to an establishment organization to hold what is supposed to be impartial debates. So now let's talk about the other story that involves the media in influencing the election, which is clear the debates were trying to do, and that is the New York Post and what Facebook and Twitter are doing with this story. So the New York Post came out with this story of Hunter Biden's emails. There was a computer, a laptop dropped off at a computer repair shop. The person never came back. The repair guy tried to contact the owner, no answer, no reply, started looking into the computer, which is now his, and found Hunter Biden's stash, emails and emails, pictures, you name it. He freaked out. He contacted the FBI, made a copy of it first, contacted the FBI. The FBI hadn't done anything about it, which is very strange in and of itself. And then this guy eventually traded out the information, passed it along, and it made it to the New York Post. And the story itself should be enough to sink the Joe Biden campaign. Folks, Joe Biden has gone on record saying he has no idea what his son's business dealings were with the Ukraine or the gas company Burisma Holdings that Hunter Biden was suddenly put on the board of. Never had any dealings with that at all. The emails show exactly the opposite. But this is 2020, and the media would probably gloss over it. But they took it too far, and this is the scary part and what is making the story last even longer. And that is Facebook and Twitter started restricting the distribution of that story. You try and share the link to that story on Twitter, they wouldn't let you do it. Then they started blocking some accounts. Facebook restricted the distribution of the story. This is a source story from a major publication. The New York Times was allowed to spread their story on President Trump's tax records, which means they obtained this information illegally, and then they're spreading private information, and they're allowed to do that. But this story was restricted. So because of that uproar, Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, he got on and he tweeted this. Our communications around our actions on the New York Post article was not great, and blocking URL sharing via tweet or DM with zero context as to why we're blocking, unacceptable. This is such a bogus comment, folks. Bogus because it didn't change anything. It didn't solve the problem. It didn't allow people to share. They just said, we did a bad job in telling you why we're not letting you share this. Absolutely outrageous. I tried to share it multiple times. If I put some text in a tweet, I could share it. As soon as I added the New York Post link, this is what happened. See, if I tweeted with no link, it posted, but with a link, an error. Well, so now Facebook and Twitter are in some serious trouble, folks. Here's Senator Ted Cruz.
This is election interference, and we are 19 days out from an election. It has no precedent in the history of democracy.
Ted Cruz is absolutely right, folks, and something needs to be done. Iran and China can share their state-sponsored propaganda on these platforms with no problems at all. The New York Times shared that story. This has got to change, and here's more from Cruz.
The committee today will be noticing a markup on Tuesday to issue a subpoena to Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee next Friday, to come before this committee and the American people and explain why Twitter is abusing their corporate power to silence the press and to cover up allegations of corruption.
So, Jack Dorsey is headed to Washington, and it looks like Mark Zuckerberg will be joining him as well, because those two were already set to testify before the Senate Commerce Committee in a week or so, but now it looks like both of them will be headed to the Senate Judiciary Committee to answer for this. All right, folks, now let's talk about what is going on in the elections. But first, if you're new to the show or haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified. We're making our push for 100,000 subscribers by Election Day. 100K by Election Day, and we can do it with your help. So now let's go over a little political roundup of some of the issues that are going on right now. First, there was the debates last night, the town hall events. President Trump was on NBC and Joe Biden was on ABC. And the contrast couldn't be more different. I mean, I just want to gloss over it a little bit because you know what to expect. And they delivered. They delivered exactly what you would expect. Softball questions on ABC from Joe Biden. It was just pathetic. And then on NBC, when the president's supposed to be getting questions from a town hall, Savannah Guthrie was debating him. There was 25 minutes before a question was even asked, confronting the president as a candidate, as a debater, when it's supposed to be a moderator. It was insane. And the passes that Joe Biden were given on major issues, he was not asked at all about Hunter Biden and this huge exploding story, not asked at all. President Trump was asked if he denounced white supremacy yet again, which he answered, but nothing on Hunter Biden. Then let's go to Arizona, folks. We've got Martha McSally, the incumbent Republican, facing Democrat Mark Kelly, former astronaut, who's just as left-wing as they come, and it is a tough race. Well, guess what? It's so left-wing, and it's so typical that his new deputy communications director, press secretary for the Kelly campaign, they just found a tweet from him from August calling the Chicago police worthless effing pigs. This is the kind of people that Mark Kelly puts on his staff. It's outrageous, folks. McSally needs to win that election. She needs to come through, and people need to see just how left-wing these candidates are. So now look at voter registration, because there's something interesting happening with voter registration that could really turn the tide of this election. And here's the story. The 2020 presidential race may be closer than the polls suggest, according to analysis of voter registration trends by JP Morgan Chase. Changes in the number of voters registered to each of the major parties have proven to be a significant variable in election outcomes in the past, according to strategists at the New York-based bank, which analyzed trends in some of the battleground states that will be crucial to an electoral college victory. So, what does this mean? What does it mean for President Trump? Here's some of the numbers. In Pennsylvania, for example, a blue-leaning state that Trump won by 44,000 votes in 2016, the Republican Party has since picked up nearly 200,000 voters. Similar progress in battlegrounds Florida and North Carolina suggests Trump may take those states by a larger margin than in his first campaign as well. So this definitely helps. It's a good sign for Republicans that people are energized. Now, this energy needs to translate to votes. It needs to translate to individual votes and people being excited and telling people what we are up against with the left, with the media, with Facebook, with Twitter, with the Democrats. Everything we face, we need to go out and vote, and we need to get our friends out there to the polls and help carry President Trump across the finish line. All right, so let's summarize this show for a little bit first. We've got Jack Dorsey. We got Mark Zuckerberg. We got Joe Biden. We got the left. It is a great collection to ask, do you have a relaxed brain?
I got what you call, a relaxed brain.
All right, folks. First, let's look at San Francisco, because the cancel culture is at it again. And here's the story. At least 44 schools in San Francisco could see their names changed, as officials believe some were named after those with potential connections to slavery, genocide, and colonization, according to a report on Thursday. Some of the schools listed under the proposed name changes included Abraham Lincoln High School, George Washington High School, Roosevelt Middle School, and Jefferson Elementary. Panelist Mariposa Villaluna requested that the committee also include Thomas Edison Elementary School on the list because of his treatment toward animals. What can you say, folks? I mean, come on, give me a break here. Then there's Joe Biden from the softball town hall. He was asked about this court packing again, and here's the exchange between him and Stephanopoulos.
No matter what answer I gave you, if I say it, That's the headline tomorrow. It won't be about what's going on now, the improper way they're proceeding.
But don't voters have a right to know where you stand?
They do have a right to know where they stand, and they'll have a right to know where I stand before they vote.
So you'll come out with a clear position before Election Day?
Yes, depending on how they handle this.
Wow, there is so much wrong with that exchange, folks. First, Joe Biden just dodged. He just dodged like he usually does. Then he gives this response that he'll let people know before they vote. And Stephanopoulos just added, he just joined in and said, oh, you mean before Election Day? Yeah. Well, the whole beef they have with Amy Coney Barrett in the Supreme Court is that people have already started to vote. Millions have already voted. So they're not talking about Election Day here. People are already voting, and Joe Biden is still not letting us know where he stands on this issue. It's so bogus. And then regarding police reform, Joe Biden went to his famous go-to line.
We can do this. You can ban chokeholds. But beyond that, you have to teach people how to de-escalate circumstances. De-escalate. So instead of anybody coming at you and the first thing you do is shoot to kill, you shoot them in the leg.
Yep, that's right. Bad guy's coming at you. He's got a knife. He's got a gun. He is focused. He's coming right at you. Shoot him in the leg. Shoot him down there, moving leg. That's what you should do. How incredibly dumb. And that's Joe Biden. That's Relaxed Brain. And then we'll wrap up with great reporting from the Babylon Bee, because now we learned on this Joe Biden theme why he is so concerned about COVID-19, why he wants a vaccine so badly. And here's the story. Here's the headline from the Babylon Bee. Biden even more determined to not get COVID after finding out he could lose his sense of smell. So that's Biden, folks. And that's our show for today. We have a Saturday live stream tomorrow. Please tune in 11 a.m. Central Time. We're going to be talking to Matt Thayer, who is the director of a new Trump documentary, The Trump I Know. I've watched it. It's absolutely awesome. We're going to talk about the people in President Trump's inner circle, especially the strong women that he surrounds himself with, how these folks have been empowered, making a difference, and letting you inside the world of Trump. It's absolutely awesome. Tune in for the Saturday live stream, 11 a.m. tomorrow, Central Time. But that's our show for today. Please subscribe, and when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified, and we'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is the 13-Minute News Hour. Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified. And here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-Minute News Hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.